Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Jeff Turner. What's up, man?
What's up? How you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
Thank you for taking the time to come on my show, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no doubt. Before we get started, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. So, you have a crazy past, man. I saw you on Concrete, I think it was.
Yeah.
And you were talking about counterfeiting, and you want to explain to the people who you are and where you're from before we get
Um.
into the counterfeiting aspect.
So I'm Jeff Turner. I'm 35 years old. Grew up in like Tampa, Florida, Clearwater, all that, St. Pete, that whole area. Um. And yeah, pretty much like a kind of a normal childhood. Just I'd say your average Florida dude. Growing up down there.
Was like a
Uh,
middle class family growing up.
yeah, pretty much. Um.
Like you had everything you could ever want, right? You didn't need for things, or
Oh, well, I
was it?
mean, no, we weren't, definitely didn't come from like a well off family. Like my parents do all right for themselves now, but when I was younger, you just your average, like, I guess like lower to middle class. Um, but yeah, like it wasn't bad. Nothing really. Well, I guess from considering my group of friends, it was average. But I mean, I got into drugs pretty early on. I'd say started like smoking weed, selling weed, doing oxys and all that stuff when I was like 16 about.
Yeah.
And sold weed throughout high school. Started kind of doing like Percocets. Um, nothing too crazy at that point. Um,
Did you have a
got
job? Did you have a first job?
first job. I worked at Publix supermarkets. It's like a huge grocery chain.
Bagger, right? Being a
Yeah,
bagger. Yeah,
yeah.
I was a
I,
bagger too, man. Food
I,
mart.
16 years old. I did that for like probably 6 months, a year. But then I like kind of working at Publix gave me a little paycheck. So then I started buying ounces of weed and selling weed on the side. And then I started making enough money selling weed to where I quit the bagging job. But um, I sold drugs for the majority of my teenage years and adult life. But never really got like too extreme with it. Like I never moved like kilos or anything like that. Just kind of enough to get by, get drugs for free. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And of
I
course
used
that
to do the same stuff, man. I
yeah
used to
that
do
of
all
course
of it all.
developed a drug addiction. You know what I mean?
Did you?
Um,
Is that what got you into making the money?
um, well, I mean, I guess so. Kind of like I first tried it when I was like 18 or 19 years old, and at that point I was just kind of like a hustling kid, you know what I mean? Trying to figure out ways to make money. I tried counterfeiting. Um, I was selling drugs. You know, any lick that came across, I was down for it. It just anything, you know what I mean? Just kind of a crazy, stupid young dude. Uh, but the counterfeiting thing, like I got the idea. I tried to do it a little bit, and at first, they looked horrible. I didn't really, because it was just a spur of the moment. Let's, I'll scan these bills, print them. Um, they
Were you
didn't look
using an
good.
8 inkjet printer at first? Is that what you
Yeah,
were using?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Were you trying to bleach $1 bills or $5 bills?
Well, I did that too. I've done it all when it comes to that. So like at first they looked horrible, and I just stopped. I think I was like 18 years old, so I just went back to selling weed. And then like maybe 6 months later, I I read a lot, you know what I mean? So I was just strolling through Barnes and Noble, looking through books, and I found The Art of Making Money, which is about the counterfeiter Art Williams up in Chicago. So I bought that, read it, and it kind of opened my eyes a little bit because it kind of explained how he did it and like how he cracked security features, and you know what I'm saying, like sandwiching two sheets together to put a strip and a watermark.
Yeah.
Um, and I believe he used Chroma Flare chameleon car paint, like color shifting car paint.
Yeah,
Um,
in one of your interviews, you said that you used blush or something like
I
makeup, right?
yeah,
Eyeshadow.
yeah. See, so like, and that's the thing, man. The longer I started doing this, like my methods kind of tweaked and advanced. You know what I mean? I'd do something for a couple months, and then like I just realized that this other way is better. So then I'd switch that up, and it just progressively got better and better until the bills looked pretty fucking good.
Yeah, but
Towards
so you said that you were going around getting paper out of Bibles, right?
yeah.
And you were
So
getting a couple sheets out of each book or something.
yeah, that wasn't until later. So like I did it a little bit when I was 19 years old, and I got them to look pretty good. I was selling them to one of my friend's dad's friend, this fucking guy from Tampa. Um, and then my friend overdosed and died. So like I couldn't sell him to his dad's friend anymore. So I just stopped for a long time. But I did that for probably like 6 months, 8 months.
Like, how much were you making around that time?
Not a lot. I was probably I'd probably sell him like $5,000 worth for like 1,000 or so once every
So
couple weeks.
where would you get all the paper for the 5,000? Because that's a lot of paper, right?
Um, well, yeah, I guess so. Back then, I did it a bunch of different ways. Like I would do the bleach bills, and print the hundreds on them. I tried just ordering cotton paper, really thin cotton paper, and sandwiching two sheets together. I mean, I've done pretty much, I mean, many different methods. I wouldn't say everything you could think of, but like everything that I've read, like I'd read an article about how somebody else did it,
Yeah.
and I'd try that. You know what I mean?
Have
So
you
like,
ever had any like close calls where you were trying to use the money and you almost got caught?
not
I'm sure
back
you
then, not at all, because
know.
I wasn't spending them back then. When I was
Oh,
younger,
so
I
you
would
would make it and pass it off to somebody else to do it.
well, somebody was buying them from me. So
Oh,
I just
and then
dealt with one guy, and he was buying them off me.
now what
Um,
if they got busted or anything? Did you ever pass it off and they get caught?
no, not back then. Back then, like yeah, I was just dealing with this one dude through a friend of mine, and then my friend overdosed and died. So I kind of just stopped counterfeiting for years. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
like cut the connection off, right?
Yeah, I just and at that point I was like, I was like 19 years old. I wasn't, what I'm saying, it wasn't back then. I was making like $1,000 every couple weeks. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like this huge moneymaker. I was selling drugs. It was just kind of one of those hustles I had.
Yeah.
Um, but then fast forward years later, like I end up getting married, having some kids, and moving up to Knoxville, Tennessee. So once I'm up in Knoxville, I'm still doing drugs recreationally. I kind of stopped selling drugs,
What
but
year
I
is
still had
this?
I moved up to Knoxville probably, shit, I don't even know when, maybe 2012, maybe somewhere around there. Um, so yeah, I still have this drug addiction, but I get a job in like the sign industry, doing sign install service,
Yeah, like outside
stuff
of
like
buildings, signs outside
yeah.
the buildings. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did that for a bunch of years, and then I ended up getting fired from my job. Um, and through, I should say, through the sign industry, I kind of got into like graphic design through the sign, the sign business.
Yeah.
So I learned a little bit of graphic design since I was 19. You know what I mean? So basically, I lost that job at the sign company, and like me and my wife and kids were renting a house in Tennessee, and like our lease was almost up in a couple months, and I get fired from this job. So I was like, fuck. Um,
Yeah, you're like in a
I need
hard spot, man. You got to
yeah,
think of something, right?
yeah. At the time I'm addicted to heroin. You know what I mean? Spending $200 a day on heroin alone. Plus,
Basically, you're working to feed your habit, right? And you're just
oh yeah,
maintaining. I know how that life is,
yeah.
man.
I mean, I was all right. I was making all right money at this sign business, but I had 4 kids, a wife, a car, house payment, car payment, insurance, all this stuff, plus a heroin addiction. So I was living
Crazy.
paycheck to paycheck.
1 second, man. My mom's calling, man. One
Oh,
second.
you're good.
Hello. I'm doing an interview. I got him on hold right now.
All right. Hang up on me. I'll see you later.
Why, you coming home?
Yeah. Did you need something?
No.
Okay.
Why, are you bringing...
On my way home.
All right.
That's all. All right. Okay.
All right. All right, bye. Okay, bye. All right.
So yeah, like I was making all right money working at this sign business, but it was still like I was living paycheck to paycheck, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So basically I get fired, and now I'm in a situation to where like I'm gonna be homeless in a month or two if I don't, you know what I'm saying, figure something out, make some money.
So, like in that situation, what's your first step? Like, you're in that situation. You just lost your job. Like, what's your first step? To go buy a printer? To go look for the paper? Like, what's your first?
I already had a computer and a printer. It wasn't a good printer. It was like, but coincidentally, it was a good printer for starting because it was a very cheap printer. It's a Canon MG 2520, I believe it is, and it's like $40 at Walmart. It's a cheap printer.
Yeah.
But that specific printer has a setting on it to where you can print. If you go to like the settings, the printer settings, there's a color sample setting to where like you could print if you had an image on the computer and press this color sample, it would print a bunch of little pictures of whatever the image was with all different color schematics of different shades of the different colors. So, and I haven't seen a Canon printer that could also do that since then. So like,
So what? You're just matching the bills, matching it to real bills.
well, yeah, that's how I originally, because a big part of counterfeiting is matching the colors. You know what I mean? So like, so that made the first couple steps pretty easy because you could print like basically a template of all these different color schematics. You know what I mean? So like I edited this image to where I had on like Photoshop, I'd have just the background color. You know what I mean? And I could print that first. So if I press that color sample on the background color, it would print out like a bunch of different little pictures with all these color schematics underneath each one. So then I could take a real bill and color match, which color looks the most like it. And then based on that, I'd have the color schematics to print the settings. You know what I mean?
So when it would print it, would it have the little films in it? Like, like on a real bill, would it have the little films in the paper?
What do you mean films? The security thread?
No, isn't there like isn't it like the bill's made out of like mush, right? And it's like little films, little
the fibers, the red and blue
fibers. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Does
See,
it print out the fibers to make it look like the fibers are in it?
Now see, so like there are certain like that little security feature I never really bothered with, and at first, like I was, I wanted to make these bills perfect. So like at some points I would take like a blue and red colored pencil and sharpen them super fine and just kind of lightly, you know what I'm saying? But it was like, then I started making enough money to where it was like, no one's noticing these fucking red and blue fibers, bro. Like, and I'm sitting here, it's just a waste of time. You know what I mean?
So how would you
printing thousands and thousands and thousands of this shit?
So you got all this paper, right? So what do you stock up on the paper?
Well,
once you get the image good and the colors down, what did you do? Go stock up on paper and...
Well, I didn't know, so I was using the Bible paper, right? And like it took a little while to figure out that was the right. Bible paper is by far the best paper I found that you could print money on, because it's really, really thin. So you could, if you sandwich 2 sheets together, the thickness of 2 sheets of Bible paper is very, very close to, the.
And you like wrinkle it up and make it seem like used, kind of, right?
No. See, a lot of people would say that if I'd sell some, but okay, so like the bills I was printing looked really good. So like typically people, when you crumple it up like that, it's just to make it look old or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the ones I were making, one looked, I mean, it looked like a real bill, fresh off the printer.
Yeah.
But secondly, in order for the counterfeit pens to mark on them, I would spray them with a spray can of lacquer. So really, there's like a clear coat over it. So when you mark it with the pen isn't touching the paper because it's coated with lacquer. So
So,
once
but
you
is it changing
crumple
the
it up,
color of the marker though? Because the
no,
marker
it stays
changes color,
yellow.
doesn't it?
Well, if the bill's fake, it should turn black.
Yeah.
But on real bills, it stays yellow. And if you mark my bills, it would look just like a real bill. It'd mark yellow because
Now,
it's.
what if you put those bills in one of those machines that take the bills?
I never mess with that. I there's like I said, there are certain security features that like just weren't worth my time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like so in order to insert a bill into like a self checkout machine or bill validator, you
Yeah.
have to first of all nowadays bill validators are like super advanced. Um, some detect just magnetic ink, some detect UV strip, some detect um, infrared.
And you'd have to
Some have
overcome
like
all those security features to be able to beat that, right?
yeah, the majority of bill validators just detect magnetic ink, and I know how to beat that, but then you'd have to use this stuff called MICR toner, and I'd have to print it with a laser printer with the MICR toner. So like MICR toner is magnetic ink character recognition toner that you like if you were to print your own checks at home. You get this toner, so the routing number and account number is magnetic, so you can run checks through the machine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like if you could print the black work of a dollar bill with the MICR toner, it would be magnetic and it would be accepted in certain bill validators. But I was more concerned about like any store that has self checkout machines. Basically, like this is how I looked at it. Any store that has self checkout machines also has human cashiers, right?
Yeah.
So it's much easier to pass a fake bill on a human cashier than it is a fucking computer with cameras and all these security features. So it's like, why would I even waste another? If I can make one of these $100 bills in 5 minutes, say, and it would pass at a cashier, no problem. But in order for it to pass at a self checkout machine, it would take me 20 minutes to make one because I'd be dealing with all these other security features and stuff. It's just
Yeah.
not worth the time. You know what I mean?
So, your time doing all this, there wasn't ever time where you went to go spend the bills and you're like, damn, I feel like I'm gonna get caught.
But did I feel like that?
Yeah, like were you
Oh,
like nervous, like your heart's pounding, you're like, oh shit,
yeah.
every time?
Well, no, not every time. There was at first, yeah. I mean, I was fucking super nervous. You know what I mean? Because like I knew the
I
bills would.
thought you said you were, sorry to interrupt you. You said you were passing off to drug dealers too, right?
I was man, anything you could think of with. I mean, I was buying dope with it, ripping dope dealers off. I was trading heroin dealers for heroin that knew they were fake. I was selling them to drug dealers. I was selling them to people to go bust. I was giving them to these junkies that would go bust them and give me half of the money. Like I was spending them. I was buying money orders, prepaid Visa cards, fucking
So
all
you're
that,
in it deep, man. You're in it. You're in
bro.
it pretty deep.
I mean, I had this like I was probably on a bad day. On a bad day, I'd print a couple thousand. You know what I mean? So like every day, at least, no matter what, I'm spending at least a couple $1,000s in fake bills myself. And maybe once a week, some dope boy would want like 5 grand or 10 grand
Now,
every week or so.
when you're doing all this, are you feeling like the pressure of law enforcement around you? Are you feeling like, damn, I feel like my time is numbered?
Um, I mean, the first, I'd say like year and a half, not
Yeah.
like, man, I mean, I'd like to think I was pretty smart about shit. Like once I really started doing this, like seriously, and like doing it every day. Like I stopped looking for a job. You know what I mean? The whole like get a job thing was just out of my mind at that point. Like once I decided like I'm making enough money doing this that fuck a job, me and I just dedicated all my time to it.
You're like, I'm
Um,
all in.
yeah, exactly. Once I was all in, I was pretty fucking careful. You know what I mean? And I didn't really like have any close calls even really up until the after about a year and a half I started to find like bolos out for me, like be on the lookouts of like pictures of me at a register and
Oh, so
stuff like
so
that.
you're out there doing it. You're passing off bills. You're dealing
Oh
with a
yeah.
bunch of different people, and so
Yeah.
this they're starting to catch on.
Yeah, some really high level heroin dealers that I was selling money to like would get arrested, and you know what I'm saying, and it's just like you don't know if they're cooperating on me, you know, and you I mean if you get caught with a kilo of heroin, like I don't trust that motherfucker. Like he's gonna snitch on me. I'm sure he will, you know what I mean?
Obviously,
So then that's when you change hotels, leave town for a couple months and
are
yeah,
you
it's tough.
using your real name at this time in your life? Are you using your real name and your birth date and everything, your own identity?
Regarding what? Like
Just
people
the
I
way when you're living, just living your normal day to day life. Are you using your real name to like pay bills and things like that, or are you like
Oh,
on
I
the run?
wasn't. No, at that point, I wasn't paying bills. Like everything was cash. Living out of hotels. I was driving a car that was someone else's. I bought a car and gave it to another guy. So like we all had different cars in other people's names. See,
Yeah,
like because our thinking was that if we got pulled over or whatever, like I didn't want the government to seize my property. You know what I'm saying? So like but if the car I was using was in someone else's name, then they couldn't seize it. And so like we all had cars in different people's names, living out of hotels under false names.
because you're
And
acquiring all this stuff, right? Because you're making all these bills and you start acquiring things like cars and things like that.
I mean, yeah, like, but I mean, it wasn't. There was nothing that I really needed to put my name on. But no, when I like was introduced when I introduced myself to people, I went as Jay. Like everybody knew me as Jay.
Yeah,
So I mean, it's my first name initial, but
yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of J's. You know what I'm saying?
So like
But
when towards the end, when the cops were putting the pressure, did you feel it? Did you feel like things were gonna happen? Did
yeah,
you?
yeah. The last couple months, I'd say for sure. I was real paranoid towards the end there.
What
Like
year was this?
2000. Where was it? Probably the end of 2018, early 2019. Um, yeah, like I used to crawl under the car looking for GPS. Like I thought they were, tracking me. Maybe I didn't. Like every time I'd go back to a hotel room, or there were some houses that we rented for a little while, but like we were always traveling around. You know what I mean? And I was paranoid, so I didn't like we'd rent a house in someone else's name for 6 months, and then I didn't like being in one place too long. You know what I mean? Because I
You
was
just take off and then
yeah,
it's already paid.
yeah. So we'd have a house for 3 4 months, but then it's like you need to travel to break these bills. So we'd go
Yeah, you can't
to
stay in one spot using them over and over, right? Because if
yeah.
they find
So like,
out,
say we go on a road trip to Atlanta, which isn't far from Knoxville. It's like 3 4 hour drive or whatever. But on your way to Atlanta, you're getting off at like every exit off the interstate and going to a few stores. And you know what I'm saying, break 100, break 100, break 100, get back on the interstate, go a couple exits, break 100, break 100. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it would take a few
you're
days
getting
just,
all this change back and it's all real money. So that's
yeah,
how the way you're trying to work it.
yeah. And like, there was, like I said, pretty much any little scam you could think of with counterfeit money, like I tried it or did it, you know what I mean?
How much would
But
you sell the bills for? What was your going rate for the bills?
uh, about 25 cents, 25% of the face value. Some people It also depended if I liked you or didn't.
So,
You know what I'm
so
saying?
for 100,000, you're charging 25,000.
Well, that's what I would charge. I never sold that much in one deal,
What's the
but yeah,
most money you ever made in one time?
fake money.
Yeah.
What do you mean, like in one day,
Or like in one,
like one run?
yeah, like run. What's the most you ever made that you had? Like, holy shit, I just made all that and I got to get rid of it all.
I mean, probably not as much as you think. Probably maybe like 20, 25,000, maybe.
Didn't it take you a while to make that, right?
Yeah, because see, people think it's just like pressing a button and you have money now. Like it's I my bills looked very very good, but they looked very good because each bill was like handcrafted. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, like,
I'm printing each side of the bill. So there's two sides. You print the background color on one side, and then like the black work and green treasury seals. Everything was separated digitally and then
oh, so
color.
you're printing them in layers.
Yeah.
Each one you're printing, one is the green, the next one's the black, the next one's something else.
Yeah, yeah. So like that's kind of a little security feature of money is it's hard to print it. If you just press print, the colors will not look right because in order to match the background color, then the serial numbers and treasury seal will be off. You know what I'm saying? Like so you basically have to separate all these images, layer them digitally on like Photoshop and print them in layers, but specifically color match each layer.
Yeah,
So like the point being is like I'd have the front of the bill and the back of the bill and print like 3 or 4 different layers for each one, the front and the back. So I'm getting stacks of paper and mind you also I'm printing it on Bible paper. So Bible paper is really thin and it'll jam up if you put it in the printer because it's so thin. So I'd have to take a regular piece of printer paper and tape on this thin piece of Bible paper to the regular paper. So I'd stay up all night and just sit there and taping this Bible paper onto, and then have a stack like, this thick for the next morning, and then just, put a stack of 10 in and print $1,000. Boom. Put another stack in, print $1,000, and then put another stack in. While that's printing, I print the different layers. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
So it took long time, and then even then, once everything was printed, I'd have to spray it with a lacquer
To
spray.
seal it for the pen, right?
Exactly. And then I would have a light board with like it's basically just a piece of glass with LED lights behind it, so you can see through the bills to line
Yeah,
them up,
yeah,
and mist on a little bit of Gorilla Glue spray, and then set one side on the light board, put the other one, line it up, squeegee it together, and then cut it out, and then take this color shifting eyeshadow and paint on the little color shifting 100. I mean, I got it down to where like, I mean,
you'd have to
I
do the eyeshadow before you did the Gorilla Glue, right? So it would be underneath it.
No, 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 no. The color shifting ink is on the front of the face of the bill. So I did that last, actually.
Oh, you would do that last.
Yeah.
I get what you're
Um.
saying. I thought it was sandwiched in, and you see the reflection from like inside when you're looking at it.
No, that's the security thread. Um. Are
Oh,
you talking about
you're talking about the watermark, right?
I print the watermark. Everything inside the bill, I just printed.
Yeah,
See what I'm saying?
yeah,
Are you thinking of the new Blue Notes? That like holographic thing that shifts and moves and
yeah,
stuff?
yeah,
No, see, though I started doing those later. But when I first started doing it, I was doing the '96 series. Actually, see the 100 behind me on the wall?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That, that's the type of bill I started doing, right? So I ended
How
up
come
doing
you didn't start with the older bills?
that is the older bill.
No, there's older bills than that.
Oh, well, those are too old. They look suspicious. You know
Oh,
what I
they
mean?
do. If you break out that kind of old money, people are gonna
Yeah, I
be
mean,
like, "What?"
if you bring a bill from like 1974 or some shit, you know what I mean, and have 20 of them and buy something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I did the new Blue Notes as well, but those were really time consuming too. So like the '96 series, they worked everywhere. They're not uncommon. So I started doing those. But yeah, so like the strip and the watermark that's inside the bill, I would just print it right with like on like a light gray. You have to match the opacity just right to
Yeah.
where you can't see it through the face of the bill, but if you hold it up to the light, you can see it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you have to adjust the opacity of that print. I'd have a little file with just a little strip and a watermark, and then adjust the opacity so it's just the right color gray printed on the back of the back. So that way, when I glued the front and back together, the strip and the watermark was, you know what I'm saying, inside.
It's insane, man, that you go to that length to cheat the system, basically,
Yeah.
right?
Well, hey, I mean, yeah, it took, like, somebody actually just messaged me earlier today and was saying, like, oh, I can't believe that it's that easy to make just print money. And I was like, thinking, it's not, like, it's really not easy. Like, it took, like,
And
if you're,
disclaimer, it is illegal. And if you
oh,
get
yeah,
caught, you will go to prison. You will go to federal prison.
yeah,
So don't try to print money.
for real.
Little disclaimer. Because we're going to
Yeah,
get into that. So once the shit literally hit the fan, what happened, man? Can you walk us through like what it transpired to stop your production of money?
like, okay, so, um, eventually I started, like I said, I was buying heroin, selling them to heroin dealers, all sorts of everything. Um, so one heroin dealer specifically that I was selling bills to, um, so he would buy like 5,000, 10,000 in fake bills, like every time he'd go re-up, right? And he was from Cleveland, Ohio. So he got like, I think it was like 5,000. I think he had 5,000 of my bills at this
Yeah.
specific time. And he went up to Cleveland to go buy, like, I think a half a brick heroin with it. Or, like, you know, he had real money too, but 5,000 of it was fake. Um, he went up to Cleveland to go buy a half a brick, and he got pulled over, and they found all this fucking money on him. So, like, the police up there didn't know it, they just thought it was all real money. They were like, what are you doing with 25 grand? You know what I mean? It's like this 23-year-old black kid
Because he
in,
has
like,
5 grand mixed in with the 25 grand, and he's on his
yeah.
way to go get drugs, but he
Yeah,
gets
he had
pulled over.
20,000 in real money, 5,000 in fake money. But the
Yeah.
cop didn't know any of it was fake. They just saw, you know, some like 25-year-old black kid with in a car with fucking big rims and a bag with 25 grand in it. They're like, "What are you doing?" You know what I mean? So yeah,
So
like,
they kept the money, right?
yeah. I mean, and I didn't know any of this because I'm down in Knoxville at this time. But like, I found all this out in my discovery after the fact.
Yeah.
But so they arrest him, interrogate him. They seize that money as drug money. They're assuming it's drug money. They seize it. The police go to deposit it in like the fucking seized funds account or whatever. The bank comes back and says like, "Hey, 5 grand of this shit's fake." So, you know, then the Secret Service go to interrogate him, and I've got the tapes in my discovery of this conversation. And like, basically, long story short, it doesn't take him long before he fucking squeals on me. You know what I mean? Like right away, he's like, "Oh, I
Oh,
buy
so
these
you
bills."
you have the video of him telling on you?
Well, it's an audio, yeah, but I've got the tapes, like the audio tapes. Yeah.
Wow. If you send me a clip of it, I could put it in this interview, man.
Hey, I okay, so I've got a MacBook. There, I need a CD drive. Like the discovery they gave me is on a CD thing, and like none of my electronic. I've got an iPad and a MacBook and an iPhone. Like nothing takes CDs anymore. I need like a little CD
I got a
drive.
CD drive. Yeah, I
I,
got one. But shit, you
what?
can send it to me. I'll get it for you. Or
Yeah.
you can go to they sell CD drives at Walmart,
Oh,
and
do they?
they're like $40, dude. Then you plug it
Hell
right
yeah.
into your laptop, and it
Okay.
spins the disc in it.
Yeah, I'll do that. But so
It's a CD-ROM drive.
yeah,
CD-ROM drive. Yeah, definitely, man. If you could get that, that would be huge. Put that in
yeah,
here. Oh
yeah, I've got
man.
it right here. I got pictures and other discovery. I'll send you and stuff. But so yeah, basically he didn't take him long to say my name, and of course, really, like the only dude that I dealt with on the street that knew my real name was this one guy that got pinched. Like, and nobody knew my name was Jeff Turner. You know what I mean? I went
Because
by Bill.
you trusted him, kind of, right? Because
Well,
you're
yeah, this
dealing with him
one
over
dude,
this time, over a
we
long
were
period of time.
at the time he was arrested. We were sharing a house. Like we lived in this house together. So yeah, him and I had like a, I wouldn't say a friendship, but a good business relationship. You know what I mean? We were
Yeah.
staying together, making money together, all this stuff. So anyway, he uh, makes a deal with the Secret Service up in Cleveland and says, you know, let me out and I'll give you this counterfeiter in Knoxville, Tennessee. So they let him out of jail and they drive him down to Knoxville to set me up.
Man.
So and like I said, we were sharing a house at this time. So
Yeah, but because he just got money from you, didn't you find it weird that he wanted more right away?
well, yeah, this is, so I knew right, like I knew what he was doing, but so we were sharing a house. I go home and one of his little runner chicks that was selling dope for him, she basically told me like, "Oh, I just got off the phone with E. He told me not to tell you this, but he got arrested when he went up to Cleveland." So like, you know, she told me that she said he told me not to tell you, but you know what I'm saying? I'm like,
They're all
well,
E. They're all named E.
yeah, that's what everybody
They're all
went by.
named E, man.
Went
Oh
by
man.
their first name initial, you know, basically. There was Q, E, I'm J, you know what I mean? There's some Cash, which is
D.
short
There's
for,
Q, D. Right.
yeah, it's just,
Oh
but
man.
so yeah, she tells me that, so I like pack up all my shit and fucking leave the house, you know what I mean? Um, and go back to staying at a hotels again. Um, and like my thinking was, you know, he's cooperating, but I figured that, and again, I didn't know what was happening at that time because
Yeah,
I
you don't
found
know
out,
what's happening behind the scenes as you're trying to figure
yeah,
everything out.
I found out all this stuff, you know, after I got indicted through discovery and stuff. But at the time, I was thinking like, okay, well, the fact that he doesn't want anybody to know he got arrested is sketchy. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. So basically, like I try to play it safe. I get all my equipment, printers, computers. I had like ventilation fans to suck lacquer out, you know, so I could spray lacquer indoors and light
Wow.
boards and this whole fucking counterfeiting setup in this back room. Um, so I go to a hotel and like 2 days later, he calls me. So and again, like I figured he was cooperating, but like I don't know, I didn't. I should have just avoided his call completely and just forgot about him. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I answered his phone call though, and that's where I fucked up. But so I answered it. He's like, you know, I'm back in Knoxville. Can you get me 400 grams of heroin? And he didn't say this immediately. Like he was like, hey, what's up? Blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? But we talked for a minute, and then eventually he's like, yeah, shit got fucked up in Cleveland. I couldn't re up. I'm back in Knoxville. Can you get me 400 grams of heroin through your Detroit people? Because I knew a bunch of different groups of you know heroin dealers because I did heroin and sold money to them and shit. So he asked me that, but see, he didn't know that I knew that he got arrested because
Yeah.
his little runner chick told me, but he didn't
So
know that.
in your mind, are you thinking, damn, he got busted with the money, so maybe he does just want to re up again,
No,
right?
when, no. See, my way of thinking at first was he's probably cooperating, so I'm gonna answer the phone and deny. He doesn't know that I know he got arrested though, so I was thinking I'll answer the phone and just deny anything that he mentions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you know, so he calls me and he's like, at first he was like, "Oh, I got a box of Bibles for you." So I was like, "Okay, well, just hold on to them. I'm traveling. I'm gonna stay at hotels for a little while." And he's like, "Let's meet up." And I was like, "No, I'm not meeting up, but you know, just hold on to the Bibles." He didn't bring up anything illegal, so I was like, "Okay, well, blah blah blah." He wanted to meet up. I said no. He said he had Bibles for me. I said, "Okay, cool. Just hold on to them for me." And then, you know, then he brought up the heroin thing. He's like, "Can you get me? By the way, I couldn't re up. Can you get me 400 grams from some people you know from Detroit?" And as soon as he asked me that, I knew, okay, this is a sting now. He's like, he's trying to set me up. Like the feds are listening. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't ask me to get him a half a brick of heroin. You know what I'm saying? I've
No.
always told him, like I've always said, y'all are stupid for selling heroin. Y'all are going to get 10 fucking years. I was like, I'm printing money, and you know what I'm saying? If I get caught, I'll get 2 or 3, you know, at the worst. You know, but anyway.
It's
So
still a
he
major
asked,
crime, man. I don't want
well, yeah,
people out there to think
hey,
it's not, because you will go to federal prison and it's
no,
not fun.
yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I don't condone it by any means, but the people I was doing business with were driving around with fucking fully automatic machine guns and bricks of heroin and shit. You know what I'm saying? I used to tell them, like, y'all are crazy. You get pulled over, you know what I'm saying? You get caught with you're a felon. You got a fully auto machine gun in 2 kilos of heroin. I was like,
Are
you know what
these
I'm
like
saying?
people that are working for the cartel?
No, it was all black dudes. Really, a lot of like there was street gangs. I was in Knoxville. I was dealing with basically all the vice lords, uh,
Dudes that are
blood.
trapping. They're all
Yeah.
trapping, trying to make some money.
So like Knoxville is one of those cities that it's like a mid-level city. You know what I mean? And heroin dope is expensive there compared to Cleveland and Detroit and Atlanta and all this. So like all these dudes from say Detroit, there's a lot of people from Detroit and Knoxville. You know, you can get a brick of heroin in Detroit for like 25, 30 grand. You know what I'm saying? And it's really good. So you can cut it for 2, cut it
Yeah.
to 2 bricks, and then come down to Knoxville and sell it for like $100 a gram. So it's just like an astronomical amount of profit. So a lot of people would do that. You know what I mean? That's why there were so many people from like Chicago and Detroit and Cleveland, Atlanta, in Knoxville just selling dope. You know what I mean? But
Definitely
now,
not the way to go, man. If you're out there and you're selling dope, don't do it. Put
yeah,
it away, man.
yeah,
So
I agree.
how long after this dude cooperates did you get busted?
Um, well, shit. After that phone call, yeah, so he asked me for the 400 grams, and at that point, I was like, "Bro, you're out of your mind. I don't sell drugs. You're the drug dealer. Why are you asking me for this? I gotta go. I'll talk to you later. Bye." And hang up. Um, and that was the last I talked to him. But so some other people from Detroit that I was doing business with ordered 6,000 in counterfeit bills. So I started printing out like 6 or 10 grand. I was giving them 6. I think I was probably printing 10. So at the time,
So you could
whatever.
have a couple 4 grand for yourself.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
but anyway, point being is I'm in a hotel room and I start printing. You know what I mean? Like I do every day. And then my wife and this girl that was staying with us leave to go shopping. I was gonna stay in the hotel room to print the rest of this order for these people or whatever. And yeah, I hear a knock on the door. I look through the peephole. Somebody's thumb was over the peephole, and that was it. Basically, the police they were there, kicked the door, and I guess they tracked my phone just through that phone conversation. They found out like which area I was in. They knew which car I had because of E, and they whatever they found the hotel room.
How long after that phone call was that? Probably a week or something.
No, not it was like maybe 10 hours.
Oh, so it was like the next day or the
Yeah,
same.
yeah. The next morning, like I talked to him at probably 8 or 9 at night, and then the next morning at like 10 in the morning, I'd say, was when they kicked the door in.
So boom,
Which I
they grab you, right? Is
oh
it a
yeah,
crazy scene, man?
well I mean the hotel I was staying in had like steel reinforced doors, so it took them like a solid 5 to 10 minutes just to kick the door in. So I'm in there, they're boom, 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 just not nonstop. And I'm like, there's not a window I can throw evidence out of. There's nowhere I can go. Like, I'm just sitting in a hotel room and I got money spitting out of the printer still. So,
You're
like,
just
I
like,
literally,
I'm going to jail, right?
oh, yeah, literally, I did poured out some dope because I was a heroin addict. I'm clean now. But at the time, I was like, I start dumping heroin on the table and snorting lines, and I was like, light up cigarettes, and I'm just, what I mean, sitting there waiting for them because what else are you gonna do? I knew at that point, like, okay, I'm going to prison. Like, I'm not coming home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
it was a bad scene, man.
they come in, they arrest you. and the Secret Service comes to you, right?
Yeah, the Secret Service were there. They were arresting. There was so like when they kicked in the door, there was the Secret Service. There was the Cleveland Secret Service and the Knoxville Secret Service because they came down from Cleveland. So yeah, Cleveland and Knoxville Secret Service, Drug Task Force, Organized Crime Unit, Knox County Sheriffs, KPD.
So
You know,
they probably put it all over the news, right? Was it?
no,
It
I don't believe.
wasn't.
Mm-mm.
I'm
I think
surprised.
that there was a couple news articles about it, but it wasn't like, you know what I'm saying. I don't know.
That's crazy. You would think they would make a big deal out of it, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, there was like a couple like newspaper articles, but there was probably more. Like there was a bunch of newspaper articles like about my counterfeit bills. You know what I'm saying? While I was passing, before they caught me,
Yeah,
there was
like the
a lot of,
stories as you're going along, and people are probably
yeah,
getting
and
caught on the back end, right?
a couple dealers that I was selling bills to would get like had gotten pulled over, and they found like an ounce of heroin on them and $1,000 in fake bills, and that would make the news. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
and they wouldn't tell on you.
yeah, there was a couple people that stayed solid, and they didn't. You know what I mean? I knew they got arrested. I knew they got caught with my bills and heroin, and some with guns and all sorts of stuff. And but just nothing ever came of it. So you know,
So
at least some people stayed solid, but others
and
didn't.
some
And
there
you
are
only
some
get one.
people out there, man. There's some real ones out there,
Yeah, yeah,
you know.
for sure.
So how much time were you facing when you first got this charge? Like how much time were you looking at?
Um, so well, it like changed because well, at first, they arrested me under state charges, until like the feds could build evidence and indict me in the federal jurisdiction. But like the first day I was in jail, it was under like Knox County charges or whatever, and my the lawyer came and basically said like you're looking at like 8 to 12 years in the state, um, which didn't seem right to me. I was like, man, that's high, you know what I mean? But I also know in the state you only have to serve like 30% or whatever.
Yeah, but
So
non-violent crime. Yeah, non-violent.
yeah, so I figured if they're saying 8 to 12 up front, like probably get it knocked down to 5 and serve whatever. But that was basically what they told me. And then when the feds indicted me, like months later, the feds picked it up. My criminal history is pretty low because I've only been arrested a few times in my life. Um, so
Do they take
originally,
you to a Fed jail? Do they take you from state jail to a Fed jail?
no, it's usually like when you're still in county jail or whatever. That there's certain counties that have federal contracts. So like Knox County, where I got arrested, happens to have they hold federal inmates, and Blount County, right next door, has the contract for East Tennessee. So like they'd
So
ship me.
they just held you there.
Well, they held
That
yeah,
one.
they
Yeah.
held me in Knox County, but the county right next to Knox is Blount County. They have the contract. Up in Kentucky, it's Laurel County. London, Kentucky has like the contract. So like there are certain usually like one jail in each district that holds federal inmates, but it's
Yeah.
still a county jail. They just separate you. They'll put all the federal inmates in this pod, and all the county or state inmates in another pod or whatever. But so yeah, basically my range was like 3 years is what I was looking at in the feds. Um, and then the Secret Service came to me after probably 6 8 months. They let me out on pretrial release. So I was out. I had to go to like treatment, and I had to go to a halfway house until sentencing.
And you have to
Um,
keep checking in.
yeah.
It's hard. It's hard, right? To go turn yourself in when they say you got to go do this much time and you have to physically walk into the jail, man.
Yeah. See, I couldn't even. Yeah, I didn't even do that because by the time I actually got sentenced, I was supposed to self surrender, and I ended up picking up charges before then because
Oh, you did? You got arrested again?
yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, yeah, I was so like I got out on pretrial release and I got clean, um, and basically um, like a week, 2 weeks before I was supposed to self surrender at USP McCreary up in Kentucky, at the camp there. I was supposed to self surrender. I end up like basically just saying fuck it and relapsing and going to get fucking dope. And yeah, it
Man,
was it was bad. It was stupid. And like honestly, now you couldn't pay me to go back to doing that shit because like
bro,
even that the
that probably
heroin.
made you look so bad at court.
Well, I'd already been sentenced, so I didn't have to go back to court. So
Oh,
it was
so
just
it didn't really matter. Like it just
mm-mm.
it
The
like
only
melted into your sentence, right?
yeah, well, the only thing that changed because like once the judge sentences you, it's done. You know what I mean? Technically, I'm in like the Bureau of Prisons custody. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
like you're supposed to be, but you're like it's like a
Exactly.
stay of execution. It's called stay
Yeah,
of
and I
execution.
kind of like I know how the system works, so like that's I mean I obviously what didn't intend on getting arrested, but once I was finally sentenced, then they were like turn yourself into this prison. It was like well fuck it, you know what I mean? Which was bad. It was a mistake, you know, obviously, but either way, like they caught me. I guess I was nodding out in a gas station with like a
Oh
8 ball of
man,
heroin in my pocket, um, which I'm definitely not proud of. Like I'm really not proud of the whole drug addiction thing at all. Um,
me either, man. I've been sober since September 14th, 2019, and I'm
Hell
proud
yeah,
of it, man. I would
good
not trade
job,
it for the
man.
world, bro.
Yeah, me too. Like even before when I was out on pretrial and got sober, like I was happy. I don't even know why I relapsed. Yeah, I think it was just like they sentenced. I thought there was a chance that I might get probation, and when they did sentence me to prison, it was just kind of like I don't know. Like I was only hurting myself, but in my mind it was like you know, whoa, well fuck it then. I might as well, you know what I'm saying? But it was just I didn't even enjoy relapsing. Like I did this heroin, and literally the last thing I remember is sitting in the hotel room snorting a line of heroin, and then literally 2 days later, I just like woke up in Knox County booking. I was like, what the fuck happened? I don't
So
even
it's like,
remember.
oh, I don't even gotta go turn myself in. They did it
Yeah.
for me, man.
Well, Jesus. So that happened, and I was able to bond out real quick. So like as soon as I wake up in booking, I call my wife and I'm like, shit, bond me out. So she bonds me out, and I get out. So I'm like, whew. So I
Wow.
just, but I'm a fucking idiot and go back to doing dope. You know what I'm saying? Because again, it's like that was a close call. Like, you know, it was just stupid shit. And again, like a week later, I get arrested again.
Again on
Yeah,
wait,
because
again while you're out on release, man?
yeah,
And
yeah,
you're gonna get sentenced, you get arrested twice?
yeah. See, but the thing was like, because I got out and was sober, right? Like
Yeah.
I quit doing heroin for like a year, and I decided to relapse. And like my tolerance. So I was doing heroin like in public and just like falling asleep places. You know what I'm saying? So it was stupid and
You had a
like
case
I
of
said,
the fuck it, man. You were about to go to prison. You're like, I don't even care anymore. My
yeah, yeah.
life's over anyway.
Well, I mean, it wasn't so much that because they only sentenced me to like a year in prison. So, but it was just kind of like, I don't know, like it was my addiction just taking over. Because like,
Yeah.
really, I'm much happier sober. Like looking back at like the amount of money that I spent on heroin is, bro, it's disgusting. Like, really. I mean, I was literally just printing money and just buying so much. I'm surprised I didn't die really when I was doing that shit. But
Man, my
yeah, I'm
life is totally
definitely
different, man.
blessed. Uh,
It's
to be sober now for sure.
it is. It's a whole new world, man. I get to see
Yeah,
life like it's supposed to be seen, you know. I enjoy my life now. I
yeah,
enjoy doing this and getting these stories out to people. Do
for sure.
you have a book, right? Don't you have a book?
I'm writing a book as we speak, but it's not done yet. Like I just got out of prison 9 months ago, um, and I kind of got into these podcasts after like I got out and like maybe 3 months after I was released, I started doing a couple little podcasts, and then you know everybody seemed to watch Concrete and one with Matt Cox on Inside True Crime.
It's a
Uh,
big one, man. Those are some big podcasts.
yeah, and
And
but now, dude, like it's
hopefully one
crazy.
day I could be there with them guys. I could be
People are
up
just
there with them, man. My
hell
numbers
yeah,
could be up there, hopefully.
Yeah, Concrete seems to reach a lot of people, man. I didn't even know. Like I don't know. I've seen Concrete before, but basically I just did that one interview, and like I don't know. As soon as it was released, like my DMs just started blowing up with like people wanting to other podcasts wanting to interview me, people like asking, just all sorts of shit. Like I sold the life rights to my I optioned my life rights to a film company. Uh,
Really?
yeah,
Wow, man, that's crazy.
yeah. I'm doing Vlad TV on Tuesday. An interview with Vlad TV. Doing MSCS Media down in West Palm Beach.
It's pretty dope, man. I met Vlad. I was in his studio in New York City in Manhattan. It was awesome. He's a
Yeah,
great guy. He's tall as hell.
yeah, hell yeah. I
he's,
heard that it's
he's a
like a
Russian, man.
remote thing, isn't
His
it?
name's Vladimir, man. He was there when I was there.
Oh, he was.
I sent you the picture of me and him.
Oh yeah. See, Matt was telling me that
Shout
he
out
went.
to Matt Cox, man. He's
Hell
got a
yeah,
dope podcast too. Go check his
yeah,
show out.
hell yeah. Matt's the man, bro. He's the one that got me linked up in all this shit, really. But yeah, he was saying like the interview was strange because it's like basically a Zoom interview, but you're in a studio. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I guess it's different.
Yes.
I think he's based out of New York and LA or whatever. So obviously you ran into him, but I don't know.
Yeah, he was
I
in
don't
the
think he's coming to
studio,
Nashville.
man. I walk in and there's a dude sitting at a desk on my right, and I look over and he looked familiar and he stood up and I was like, oh shit, that's Vlad. And I don't think he was supposed to be there, but he was there.
Hell yeah.
It was awesome.
But yeah,
What
hopefully.
he has a studio down there in Tennessee.
Well, I think I'm not sure. As far as I know, I assume that he's based out of LA and New York, but then based on like for instance, they reached out to me. They wanted to give me an interview. I'm in Knoxville, so like they just rent a studio in Nashville
It's
for the
pretty
day.
dope, man.
You know what I'm saying? So because I'm supposed to go to Nashville to do it, and it's some random like studio. So
It's about 5 days away, right? Your interview,
uh, what is it?
the
Yeah,
sixth, right?
the sixth. Yeah.
Congratulations, man. It's gonna be huge. Are
Appreciate
you going to start a podcast or are you going to have your own YouTube
it.
channel? Because once
I
you do
mean,
that Vlad interview, your life's
yeah.
going to change, man.
I mean, I've got a YouTube channel, but I haven't been putting out a lot of content. Because I'm so busy with everything. But I try to at least put out a couple videos discussing kind of counterfeiting, drug addiction, my stories from when I was living that life and all sorts of shit. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've tried to put out a video like once every couple weeks at least. But I've only been out of prison for 9 months now, so I've only got like probably 9 or 10 videos uploaded. But
Man, I think once you do that Vlad interview, your life is going to change like crazy, man.
really,
Crazy. You think because of the chat, the Cox video? Oh, man, wait till Vlad comes out. You're going to be like, holy shit.
oh man, that's crazy. I'm
Life
trying to,
changing shit, man. Life changing shit. Really.
yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so. Shit.
Strap on them boots, man. It's about to be like, woo. You know what I
I'm
mean?
trying to finish this book, bro, and start monetizing.
That's
Monetize.
why, man. Get on it because that interview is really gonna set you apart, man. So if I was you, I would take those 5-6 days that you have until then, and I'd be working on that book, man.
Yeah,
For
I try
real.
to write every night, but I still work. Like I run a print shop in Knoxville, so I do that till 5, 6 in the afternoon. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
just between the podcast thing I've been doing and writing and uploading a video here and that, like I've been busy as fuck since I've been out of prison, really, which is good. I mean, it's things are going well. Everything seems to be showing opportunity and whatnot. So
Yeah, man.
yeah,
Well, you're welcome back here anytime, man.
I appreciate it, man.
We'll do a part two, and we can talk about some of your prison time, or some of the stories you got there. I'm sure you have a lot more stories.
Hell yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, especially over Zoom, man. Anytime you want me on, just let me know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, definitely. Thank you for taking the time today, man. And I wish you the best and congratulations on the Vlad interview. And I wish you all the success in the future, man.
Oh yeah, thank you,
Keep
man.
grinding.
Appreciate you having me on, man.
All right, man. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. Till next time, man.